As I know that some of you are aware of, I've taken about an 8.5-week hiatus off from making videos. The main reason was because I was disassembling my old studio so I could double it in size, as well as adding some additional areas to film some different material. Furthermore, I bought some new equipment, so in order to play with the new toys, I felt like I had to expand the playground. But I would like to take this opportunity to also remind people of the extreme importance of maintaining balance in one's life. While burnout may not be the direct result of a life out of balance, it certainly speeds up the process. So today, I thought I'd take you on a tour of my new studio in some detail and see if I can explain how working hard in this area allows me to continue to work hard as a psychiatrist. It's also going to give me the opportunity to talk about a new channel that I'm going to launch sometime this spring. So, at this point, I think I'm going to step out of my role of YouTube psychiatrist and into the role of tour guide for the whole studio. So stick around. So this is the part of the studio that I've had in operation for the past 2 years. Prior to the death of my artist father, I shared this whole downstairs section of our warehouse, so I had to only use this section while he had the other. But since then, I've planned to expand the studio, as well as to fully separate it from the rest of the workshop floor. And this is both for the purpose of keeping it and the camera equipment clean, since welding and woodworking can make a whole heck of a lot of dust. But it was also to significantly reduce the noise that was coming in from the street, right over there. This is much more centralized and isolated. Now, in order to do this, I had to erect a new section of wall, and I opted for an L-shaped layout so that I could have a second set constantly available for another project that I'm working on, which I want to tell you about right now. Check it out. As I mentioned in the beginning of the video, I've been working on a second YouTube channel project that's going to be more of a combination travel channel and operation of an overland vehicle that I've been working on for the last 1.5 years. I've made some videos about the truck in the past, but mostly just quick passes with an iPhone and some discussion about it in general. Not for this channel, but for another channel I have. However, I'd like to create a channel that's a little bit more cinematic and dedicated not only to the vehicle's unique nature, but to travel and my use of it as a telehealth platform as I actually get it up and running and start to utilize it as my mobile office and camper. The end goal is to be able to drive it all the way from here, first up to Alaska and back, make sure it works out, then all the way down to the tip of South America, and maybe put it on a boat from there and drive the other continents as well. So for this other channel that I'm creating, I want to have a setting resembling a luggage storage room at a train station. And that's what I'm aiming for with this particular set. I'm using a spotlight with a gobo up here, which is just a little disc that sort of projects an image, such as these windows right here, and it creates this effect as if I'm being lit by the sun coming in through windows. I've also built 2 large rolling pieces consisting of stacked trunks that I can move out of the way when I wish to use the space for other purposes. But this look definitely helps me with my inspiration, and I'm kind of hoping to develop an ongoing autobiography. My goal is to get that channel started in one form or another by the next couple of months. Once I do, I'll put a link to it down below and let you all know so that you can check it out for yourselves if you're interested in that kind of thing. Of course, if you subscribe to this channel, you will be the first to know when I actually launch the next one. The first video project for that channel is going to be an exploration of my concept for a lightweight flatbed carbon fiber and aluminum camper that I plan to build over the next several months. I'm also going to include pretty soon a detailed video of the quarter scale model that I built, as well as a deep dive in on the truck itself, which I've almost completed. Another early project will be a travel log of Oaxaca, one of my favorite cities in Mexico, where I tend to travel fairly regularly with my family. I usually try to buy a alebrije or 2 for my collection, as well as take photographs and videos of the amazing murals and art that populate this city. It really is a wonderful, colorful city, and we're going to go down this spring for a week, and I'd like to add to the video that I've already shot and put together a completed project of the town. This is an experiment for me because it's going to be completely shot on the iPhone, since I no longer really like carrying heavy camera equipment around. You know, my back is still shot from my photojournalistic days when I was always carrying around 20 to 30 pounds of camera equipment slung over my shoulder. Actually, one of the goals of the overland vehicle is to be able to act as a mobile video unit as well, carrying a lot of equipment that I might be able to use while traveling. So in the studio, I have several other areas that allow me flexibility to shoot different kinds of scenes, including outdoor scenes or just simply to vary the look up on the videos that I'm making. Another decision I made regarding the new studio setup is that I would find integrated solutions, such as sticking with a single lighting manufacturer. For instance, I've chosen to use Aperture and its sister company Amran because they've developed software that allows me to control their lights remotely, which makes it so much easier when I'm sitting in front of the camera to make adjustments and just watch what's going on the monitor. One of the things that I needed was a way to keep the lights and all the other equipment, such as the mics and other things, off the floor as much as possible, because I really wanted to maximize the space of the studio, and I wanted to have the ability to transition from one area to another without tripping over stuff and breaking my hip. That was the purpose of building a lighting rack, which was a lot of fun and certainly took me several hours of reading in YouTube to settle in on a design that I thought would work. I've also spent quite a bit of time learning about gaffing equipment, namely the things that you need to set up the lights and the boom mics, and also about scrims and flags. And it's taken me an equally long time just to know what a scrim and a flag actually are. Oh, by the way, I do like and subscribe to any of the videos on YouTube that I find useful, simply because it's the way that I show appreciation for their teaching, and it does help them grow their channel. Hint, hint. The other thing I really wanted to do with my studio is to maximize my organization. I struggle with fairly significant ADHD, and this means that if there's a mess or multiple projects that need to be done, such as cleaning or arranging, I find it extremely difficult to get anything completed because I keep going from one thing to another. The other thing that's frustrating is that I tend to lose things because I'm not focusing on where I'm putting my tools when I'm in a frenzy to get things done. And this is incredibly nerve-wracking, so I've developed a lot of coping mechanisms and tricks, including making sure that there's a place for everything and putting it back in that place when I'm done. This has saved me all kinds of grief, especially when it comes to things like keys, phone, and in this particular case here, tools and equipment. So I've utilized a 3D printer for this purpose throughout my entire workspaces, which includes the woodworking space and the welding shop as well. And I'll show those at some point in the future. But one of the things I find most enjoyable, even though it's quite time consuming, but worth it for the mindfulness I get from it, is creating these little specialized storage trays and shelves for each of my tools or equipment. It not only maximizes the space, but it also clearly lets me know when something is not put away. And it lets me know where it should be put away when I do. Also, where to go and look for it each time. I've also done this in my overland vehicle, but that's for another day, and that's going to be on the other channel we've been talking about. Another thing I've done is to create various parts of the studio with a different purpose in mind, including a green screen wall, which came in quite handy for a project that I filmed for the resident physicians at Western Psychiatric Institute. They wanted a hospital scene for a workshop, and it wasn't convenient for us to go and film on site at the hospital, so this option came in particularly handy. So that's a quick look at my new studio, and hopefully a preview or a tantalizing reason for you to watch out for my new channel. That is, if travel exploration, peppered with a lot of philosophy and mental health advice is of interest to you. But I think the most important message is the idea that I manage my own mental health by practicing many different things that serve many different purposes for me. I've already mentioned how important organizing is for my ADHD, and frankly, the making of things, whether it's my studio, including running the electrical, building the walls, doing the infrastructure, painting and refinishing, or the making of videos, or overland vehicles. They all serve a very specific purpose for me. They occupy an important part of my brain that needs to make and create things, which I've found has been instrumental in maintaining balance in my own life. People often tell me, why don't you just pay people to do this stuff? As a doctor, you can make more money using your time as a provider than doing all the manual labor yourself. But this completely misses the point. I do this because it's my recreation, and it's highly therapeutic. Now, I know this was a very different video than any of my others, at least on this channel, and I plan to get back to the more strictly mental health-oriented material soon. But I did think that this was a fun opportunity to show my own process for balance, and also let you have a look behind the scenes at my studio as well. So, I do want to say this. Remember, mental health and physical health, they're the same thing. Oh yeah, and like and subscribe.